How is it that you came to all this work? Like, what led you to the work that you do?
I think what led me to this work was probably about 20 years ago when I really started heavily in the mental health field. I didn't see many people who look like me, and that was the main concern. And my heart has always been with teaching and helping and in the medical field, and I really wanted to make some type of change or difference in terms of the representation, knowing that majority of people who come into services are discouraged because they're sitting in a room with someone who doesn't look like them.
Yeah.
And just the fact you can have all the schooling in the world and all the education and training experience, but if that person doesn't connect with you in that room or wherever you're at, then all that training, education, experience is null and void.
Yeah.
So I found myself to be successful to bring that cultural representation in addition to the education and experience.
Yeah.
That could be more of a thrive and a positive factor, and to really making an impact and a difference.
Yes. Excellent. Excellent. Um, when you say you started 20 years ago?
Roughly, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. What was the first position that you held? Like how did you break into it, and how did it branch off into all the different areas that
You really want to know?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. So my first job, out here in Sacramento, every sixth grader, when they graduate, they go to a camp, and it's called Sly Park. It's like their sixth grade graduation trip, right?
Okay.
And I was about 19 years old when I was given the opportunity to be a camp counselor.
Right.
And, I was 19 years old and went up to the mountains with, 50, sixth graders from all over. And, it was, this is my first experience mentoring and guiding and counseling.
Okay.
And I enjoyed every bit of it. From the small parts of someone asking you questions and needing guidance in terms of, how to tie a knot, all the way up to, the emotional and the self-determination part of, them not being able to, climb a rope and needing that motivation. So that's where it really started. And then from there, really branched off into me wanting more of a challenge.
Okay.
And then, so these were more privileged children. So I decided, I think it'd be good to have a better challenge. So then I moved to the next stage of working with, at that time, they called it socially, emotionally disturbed children. And that term also has been changed.
Yeah.
And it's called SED youth, which was the term. And that's no longer existence. As you say, that labeling of the child is, maladaptive. Exactly. So I worked with the highest, at that time, troubled youth who were on the next stage of going to juvenile hall.
Okay.
And that was a challenge, but I really enjoyed it. I had a chance to work in a youth facility where they lived there, and they actually went to school in a cottage, in the classroom, working one-on-one with children who've been through more things than adults living today that, living for 40, 50 years. These 10-year-old children have been through more in their life than we have.
Yeah.
So that was a challenge, and that from there, it just took off.
Right on. Right on. So you step into something, you identify the challenge, you get the skills and the ability to work with that group, and then you seek a greater challenge and move beyond. And that's how you kind of went through all the work that you bring to the table now.
Correct. Yeah, it's just, and I see it as building blocks because there's so many components to behavioral health. And that's something else that is good to clarify too, is you hear a lot of the term behavioral health, mental health.
Yeah.
And I say substance use plus mental health equals behavioral health.
Okay.
And with that alone, there's so many components that you have to learn to be a competent therapist, in my opinion. Within substance use disorders, you're looking at family dynamics, you're looking at motivation for change, you're looking at family history, genograms, mental health. you're looking at diagnoses. So there's so many things, so many components to learn that you
Yeah,
need. I feel helps you, equips you to be a better therapist.
absolutely. Absolutely. Some of our terminology would be slightly different in terms of, like, here, the mental health component and the addictions component, and then you toss in the developmental component as well. We call that concurrent disorders here. But I understand that it's a different label in the United States. Here, I mean Canada, because I'm up here in Canada. But in terms of the work, um, I think it's really exciting when you step into a place, you gain the expertise in that area, and then you see the next level in terms of challenging and understanding. It's like when you come to a certain place, you see the holes or the gaps in services and things that you want to address, and you seek the education or the position in order to be able to fill that gap.
Yeah. And that's interesting. You said that about the different terminology based on where you live in the world,
Yeah.
because even within America, constantly as we speak, there's legislation and policy going forth to change terms as we speak.
Yeah.
Right now, in legislation, they want to change the term insanity. Pleading insane.
Yeah.
That term they want to change because of the negative connotation, calling someone insane. And just the fact of that, as I explained earlier, the behavioral health concept, substance use and mental health combined equals substance use disorder. That's new. Just
Okay.
recently, I go back within the field. It's not new. So
No.
practitioners have been knowing that for years, but
Yeah.
in terms of health administration wise,
Yeah. Yeah.
I think they're just now coming to that concept of, co-occurring disorders, they go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Mental health and SUDS are brother and sister. They're not, distant cousins.
Yes. Yes. Oh, brilliant. So what is it that led you? I know I sent out the request for people to come forward, and I was seeking specifically Black therapists to come forward and speak and share their insights. What led you to respond to this request?
I think the first, initially I thought there's so much going on, and there's so little platforms to speak on on these topics. And I think there's so many professionals out there with so many different levels of skill that the public and I think the community needs to hear. And I think right now you see a lot of podcasts going forth on a lot of platforms, people talking, and some people are using it for various reasons, for clout or recognition. But I think I really seen this as an opportunity to really help the community, because therapists understand one another, and when you're trying to talk sometimes in lingo and terminology with someone who's not a clinician or doesn't understand the process, things can get convoluted. So I see this as a great opportunity to really share some of the information that's going and statistics that are happening daily that are changing within our community, to help the community move forward and know where to get resources and know the signs of mental health issues and things going on in the home. So that was the main reason why I reached out and was really excited to be a part of it.
Yeah, yeah. And that was my drive too, in especially in this climate. There's so much that's happening, and there are pockets of knowledge, right? So not everybody has, no one person has all the answers. And so me as a therapist, I'm looking for more answers, because quite honestly, my door, so to speak, is just being bombarded with requests, and I need to continually rejuvenate myself as a therapist. And I saw this as well as an opportunity to showcase different therapists all over, and then glean the truths from them in terms of the things that work for them, and then to have some sort of repository where all that information can actually lie, so that others can continue to come back and look for things that they need in that moment, or glean from things that will help them as they move forward. So I am very grateful that you responded to my request.
You know, that's very interesting. You said that. You know, that's powerful, because as therapists, we're not monolithic people, right? You're trained within your training to have an eclectic style to be effective, because every person that comes into that room is going to be different. And if you invite one type of, one style of therapist here to talk, that's not going to be a good representation of the population we serve.
Exactly.
So that's excellent that you're having different type of therapists come on and speak from their perspective, because it's an eclectic field.
Yeah.